Yo, yo, what is going on? Happy July 3rd. If you're here, you made it. It is the return of Easy on the mic, literally taking dust off the microphone. Half day at work today, off tomorrow. Figured now's a good time to the product's been live for almost 2 months now on easydfs.xyz. Come check it out. But I figured either A, you can come watch me draft, or B, I'll use this as evergreen strategy guide on how I make use of my drafting tools on EasyDFS, and I think that they are some of the best out there. Help small business, help me, help you. I'm gonna just hop in a 20-second BBM. Don't know how mainstream this will be. Thanks guys for coming out, Lava Lord. Was first, Ghost second. I guess maybe I was second, but yeah, you tell me if this layout looks okay. Normally, I'm doing this on a bigger screen, kind of split screen, multi-tabling, what have you. We'll see if I can manage the 20-second clock and the microphone. Hopefully, give you an idea of what I do when I'm on the clock and help you manage your process a bit as well, because I know the tools arms race has been pretty insane where we came from. Probably I guess 2 years ago when I first launched this thing to where we are now. A lot more competitors in the space that have done a really good job with their UIs and under the hood stuff. It seems pretty impressive. But I still feel like I draft really good teams with what I've got going on here. So trying to stay competitive in that space, but give people options to, flexibility on how they like to draft their team. So paid, happy fourth to you as well. We got the sixth pick. Not my favorite. It's probably maybe my least favorite draft spot because I don't like Gibbs. So I take Puka sixth, but if we haven't seen it yet, that was good. That was good microphoning. Newest thing this year that I'm really proud of, spent a lot of time on, is this Sim EPA. So the rankings have always been dynamic based on your team, your stacks, etc. Kind of gives you recommendations like, won't give you Joe Burrow unless you have Chase or Higgins type thing. What this does is actually looks at the board or an estimated board, your team, future players available, and helps and simulates over 100 seasons how those players fit into your team versus what is available to you, what will be available to you. And it has a level of randomization. So like in this iteration, like Nico Collins seems to go off in a pretty meaningful way. Once you change an input, it kind of recycles. So it's directionally accurate to the rankings, but this gives you a level of randomization that we didn't have previously. So you're not always drafting the same players. So with that, we're almost on the clock. Gibbs goes 3. So what I normally do is look at like my top, let's say 3, and I punch them in here. And this kind of helps you keep track very simply, like which of these 3 numbers is the high. So Saquon goes. Saquon at 6 would have been cool. I don't get much Bijan. So here, Bijan versus Puka in this sim, Bijan wins narrowly. Now, I really want Puka, so I'm going to just like keep running this until it gives me Puka. There, we'll do one more, see what happens. Bijan wins. Bijan won like 2 out of 3. So I'll give it to Bijan. I do have Bijan ranked ahead of Puka, but what you see here, if you use like static rankings, you will just 100% of the time get the higher rated player, and that may be fine depending on how you want to go. But similar to, let's say, poker solvers and things like that, varying your range, aces beats kings. I don't know. I just played poker for 20 minutes, lost all my money as usual. Aces beats kings X% of the time. Probably a horrible example, but Bijan is ranked ahead of Puka, but he only wins this like, let's say 60-40. So you may, depending on how you draft, want to represent little more variability than just clicking the best available player every single time. So yeah, so there goes Puka. I'll try and be a better streamer here if you guys can see the screen. Let's see who goes. CMC at 8, I really can't. I don't love CMC. I think I might like just respect the market, have him at 8, but yeah. I'm not a big fan of the RB in round 1. I've seen Bijan going like third a lot. I've seen him going ahead of Barkley, so I think getting him at 6 at least gives me some good value there. And you'll see like here, like round 2 gets very flat very quick once you get past, honestly, once you get past pick 13, I think it flattens out quite a lot. So I have like a bunch of names in my consideration set. AJ Brown goes, or sorry, Lad goes. AJ Brown, Bowers, Taylor, T, Rashi. Let's say that's my consideration set. We'll see who this guy takes. He looks like he took Rashi Rice. So I'm probably gonna go AJ Brown here. Like Taylor, it knows I have a running back, so it's less likely to recommend me a running back. T Higgins a little bit reachy here. Bowers, AJB, Bowers, AJB, Bowers, AJB. So AJB 1 in this sim. I'll go with that. I'm much more open to Bowers and McBride for that matter on DraftKings. This would have been a tough team, I think, to bury out of an RB tight end start. I mean, the round 3 you usually have like some decent receivers to choose from, but I think it's hard. It'll be hard to win with a round 3 receiver as your first pick. So Chase Brown at the 2-3 turn to the Chase drafter, and he goes Bucky. Why isn't my free trial working anymore? I think that was a 3-second promo that I gave to 0 people. So yeah. Anthony Volpe stinks, man. He is awful. And I don't know, like, do you send him down to like let him figure it out? I think you just like bat him 9th, kind of as punishment, bench him. Like the Yankees don't really have. I mean, is Jazz going to play short? So now actually, this is pretty stacked area of the draft. Garrett Wilson goes, but that doesn't bother me. I'm often going to have Devontae Adams winning here. Oh, is this as a bring back to Bijan? That's pretty nice. It's probably a unique pairing if you care about that type of thing, because not that many people are taking Adams, the first half of the board. So that's a fun little start. We got Bijan, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams kind of dug out of that round 1. Round 1 RB. So let's see. We'll go back here. Ted at 3. This is Slap City over there. Terry. I've noticed. I'm glad I'm not picking 12 because, like, BTJ Genty start is great, or Echan, or I think there's 13 round 1 players, and then there's a big cliff. It's nice to get one of the top receivers in round 2, whether it's London, Lad, AJB is kind of my tiering, but then I think 36, 37 gets kind of rough once Evans goes. Like, I guess you take a QB. But like 60-61 is so gross. Like, I think 60-61 is gross. Chris is cooking over here. So Hurts is in the consideration set. Obviously, Josh Allen goes, which is nice because I don't want to have to make that decision. So my consideration set here is probably going to be DJ Moore, James Cook, Kittle, Metcalf. I'm not like super into Devontae with AJ Brown. Sims don't super love that. DJ Moore goes, Jameson Williams goes. I'm not really taking Sutton much here, and I'm not going to reach for Hurts. I mean, I'll pull him in here. He'll grade well, but I think you get him often enough. So James Cook is interesting. I don't take much James Cook here, but it'll bring back to AJB, kind of sets up. If I get Jalen Hurts, that would be nice. I don't know how often you get Hurts because Devontae Smith drafter is going to be incentivized to take him. So I had a couple little RB wide receiver week 17 minis here. I think Kittle definitely would have been interesting as well. It just wasn't popping in the one or two sims that I did there. Do the new numbers top right mean best positional selection? So the new numbers here is just kind of a summary. Like if you, and this is probably helpful like in the mid to late rounds or even like starting now, let's say you disagree with my ranking of Flowers, Hunter, Ridley, Pickens, Waddle, right? And you just want to know like, hey, I have 2 running backs, 2 receivers. Like, should I take a running back or a receiver in round 5? It'll give you kind of the average positional value for the players available. So what this is saying, obviously it really likes Jalen Hurts the most. And on this subset of available players, it prefers receiver to running back, which makes sense. Kind of hard to go 3 RB through 5. So if we can get, I think Hurts is our number 1 priority. If we can't secure Hurts, then Flowers or Ridley. So that's kind of, I mean, there goes Hurts. So that stinks, but that's okay. I mean, I'll throw Hubbard in here, like as like a. I mean, no, I'm not even going to consider it. It's going to be between Flowers and Ridley. So I have Flowers ranked ahead in this sim. Ridley does better, which is great because Flowers just went. I mean, I'll add the running backs here just to see what happens. But I don't know if anyone, in the chat uses this stuff now. And the way that I do it is like I have my pet favorites, right? And like I'll just basically run as many sims as it takes for me to get the answer that I kind of want sometimes. Not every time, right? Because the way I've been drafting actually has led to flattish exposures, flatter than normal. You'll see here. I don't actually have much Kamara mixing. I'm taking a lot of receivers in this range, but like, Juwan Jennings 7%, Connor 12, Debo 10, Olave 6. So I'm like, this randomization is sort of helping me vary my range a bit, give me different. So I'm not always drafting the same exact teams, which I think is, kind of a mistake going forward. Who? Thanks for tuning in, though. I should take a look at the board. I mean, I think the middle is fun because like Hubbard, Walker are both fine, like Kamara. Like this is, I think the range from like once Ridley goes, because I like Ridley. I think he's got outs with Cam Ward to just be like super good. Once Ridley goes, I think this range all the way down to Matthew Golden is pretty much equivalent. Sims on 3 QB meta. So what I've found is once you get past like round 15, the sims are often gonna, and it's expected points added, right? The expected points added from like around 14, 15 plus pick is next to 0. So towards the end, you're kind of often on your own. It's like literally adding 0 points. When we make this pick, finish the thought, we'll plug in Judy, Golden, Debo, Jacoby, Montgomery. Let's see. Gave me Debo. I don't get much Judy, so I might just go Judy here. See what it has me do. So 3 QB meta. So like what the point that I'm roundabout getting to is there is so little likelihood that the specific player or like at that stage of the draft adds anything to your team. Like you've kind of made your bet at that point. So often my sims are finding a third tight end works, especially in stacks, because it's kind of easy to add points there. A third quarterback adds points, and running backs that like contingent running backs, like 10, 15, 30% of the time, depending on who they are, can spike in a meaningful way. So that's where I lean in what, the math has shown me, but I guess we'll get there in this draft and see what it does. That's a Chipsky Lark. All right. If Debo falls, that'll be cool. Otherwise, I could start typing in names here, deleting them as they go. Montgomery goes, that would have been cool too. So usually there's more receivers available at this pick. Pollard, Aaron Jones. So Swift goes. All right. So this is actually having me go Caleb, which I don't get much Caleb, so that's cool. Oh, he's a little mini sex. I'll just narrow it to Caleb versus Debo. Debo's the faller here, but I'll respect the sim that I'm trying to sell and go Caleb. I don't get much Caleb. I mean, 8 picks of value on Debo. I guess it's still 4 on Caleb. And then this will definitely start skewing me. Like, you'll see the running back recommendations are so low. So it's definitely going to skew me toward receiver, like the Josh Downs, Mooney's of the world. Chat. Can you walk through why it's good practice to resim until it recommends who you want? Seems like that goes. Yes. Oh, absolutely. But I'm a big boy, and it's my money in play. So I like, you have emotion, a notion in your mind, and you want to see that play out. But as you saw there, like, I would have, if I wasn't streaming, I maybe would have gone Debo there, but I do want to respect the computer enough and let it cook, because it'll get me onto teams that A, are logical, and B, I often wouldn't get to myself. So I think that's good there. This part of the draft is kind of yucky here. Let's see, like, if Hawk falls, like, we don't have a tight end yet. Like, we have no reason for Mahomes. We have no reason for Kyler. For QBs, like, it knows who's stacked. It knows who has stack partners available still. So it takes all that into account. So Hawk, let's say Pittman, Higgins, of the Jaden persuasion, Cooper Kupp is kind of going to be my consideration set. I don't take much Ayuk here. I just want to see if I'm missing anything. Jaden Higgins, I think, definitely a big steam candidate. So Hawk ADP value here, Kupp bubbling up with a little bit of correlation there, Pittman. So, like, I'll run this like a couple more times, just see, and then once we are done with the clock, we'll see who it actually tells me. It tells me Hawk. I don't take much Hawk, but at 91, I'll do it. 91, I'll do it. Let it dig out. Let it dig out for me. Showing off something new here? It depends. Like, I don't know if that I've streamed with this year, so I suppose it's new in that sense. It's not new. Like, it's been available pretty much since I launched, since we launched this year. So it may not be new to you if you've been using the sheet, but it is new to YouTube. Thoughts on double tapping 2 guys in the Andrews, Engram, and Njoku, or just clicking 3 late? I think double tapping is pretty fine, depending on, like, where you are structurally. Like, that's a good range for quarterbacks. It's a good range for contingent running backs. I think it's a bad receiver range. So I actually quite like the double tap there, or one there, and then 2 late is a pretty common build for me. So again, like, we have no reason for Baker. Like, Kelsey falls, Mark Andrews, Trey Harris. Do we have any? Like, we don't really have any quarterback stacking here. So, like, I think we're going to be between Kelsey and Harris. I'll go Harris here, just knowing there's a lot of tight ends that I like coming up, and Harris kind of gives us a little bit of a Herbert kind of out there. So structurally, we're at 3 running backs, 5 receivers, 1 tight end. Capital wise, it's definitely light on receiver. We're only in bucket 3 now, and it's you're not really adding much there. So this might be more volume receiver than anything that I normally do. And coming back around will be pick number 115, and then we pick 126. So Herbert definitely a consideration for us at 126. Wouldn't force it at 115. So then, yeah, it's like, this is the range of receivers that I don't want to be forced to take, but Luther Burden falls a couple picks past ADP. I'm good with it. Otherwise, we might just be punting it off. Evan Ingram, like I'll put him in here. Definitely as a candidate. At quarterback, Caleb doesn't really do anything for us, nor does Dak. So really, it's going to be like, are we doing like May, Justin Herbert, JJ McCarthy are all stacks for us. I think Burden, if Burden's on the clock, I think we just take Burden, and then Charb would be the running back. The thing is, like, when you list 6 guys, right? This is my consideration, 6 guys. The odds of you, like the sim in that specific world, giving you exactly who you want is low, right? Like if they're all like equivalent-ish, it's like it's 16%, right? It's not actually, it's going to be a little more lopsided here, but it actually did give me Luther Burden. So like, I'm actually quite happy with that. Yeah, flower pots. Maybe you'll get a cactus or something. I don't think I've ever forced it to resim. I guess yeah. I mean, like just by anytime you change a cell anywhere, like I just like type in numbers or letters, whatever down here, kind of re-rolls. But this is what I found to be a best practice. I'm curious, if anyone does something different, but using kind of conventional ADP or rankings or otherwise like brain to narrow to like 3 or 4 names, and then having the sim tell you who happens to win in this subset of playthroughs. So definitely looking at quarterback 0361. These two both at ADP both make sense. Drake May has gone, so now we're getting kind of thin here. If Stafford would make sense later with the Devontae Adams, we have Cam Ward. Like, so this is like, this part is good. So like, you don't have to panic at quarterback. Like we have stacks still left to pursue. Opportunity cost wise, like toot and go. So like, I don't know, Ramondre is my RB4, doesn't really do it for me. Tucker Kraft, I kind of like, so like maybe I'll throw Kraft in here and we'll run it with these 3. So yeah, it does want me to secure Justin Herbert. The thing that is nice with Herbert, and I don't take much of Herbert. Wonder how much I have, 5%. The thing that's nice about Herbert, they're not great, but like you have Quentin Johnston, you have, a tight end later. So you can sort of backstack it, right? I mean, what are the odds? You win without Ladd, but you can still get with Trey Harris, with Herbert, and then 1 or 2 other like, draftable guys. I think it's the computer says that you can still build a good Herbert team without Ladd. Look at this. Look at this photograph. All right. Craft. It's like Kraft, JJ McCarthy, like are probably going to be. Thanks, Buck. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is fine. Has also subscribed. That's huge. All right. So now they're really going to start to tempt us with Marvin Mims as the receiver 7. Like we're still going to be kind of behind on, receiver draft capital. We're getting there, right? So JJ McCarthy goes. So now we're almost definitely going 3 QB, probably late. I'm not going to start method because I'm not a total forgetful person, but there goes Penix. So yeah, like I think like I'm fine taking a Marvin Mims here if he falls. Jaden Blue is spiking in this world, which is interesting. He tends to do that. So I'll put in a couple of names, right? I'll go Goddard, Mims, Blue, Rashad. Let's say Benson. This will be my consideration set. Jaden Blue wins. So Jaden Blue is a really interesting fit on this team where I wouldn't say, Bijan is starting for me 17 weeks and James Cook certainly isn't, but you're talking about, let's say 13 plus weeks that you feel really good about Bijan, then probably 8 to 12 on James Cook. So now you're starting to feel like you only have so many to fill in. You could take a shot on a Jaden Blue. Definitely a little bit ahead of ADP, but whether it's 10, 20, 30% of the time, Jaden Blue, like it's kind of like binary. I think the way that Jaden Blue season can play out. Hi, Brian. I think you're going to say I was, but we're turning over a new leaf. We're trying to be PC. I'm not trying that hard, but we can make our point using vocabularies a little bit. Stafford, Ward are definitely starting to bubble up here. Blue and Tootin. Yeah, I mean, these are the guys that 70% of the time it might be pretty bad, but 20, 30%, it could be really good. And I think at 120, 140 ADP, it's just like a no-brainer pick. Still only one quarterback, still only one tight end, and a pretty low draft capital for both of those spots. Mims goes finally. So like QJ is going to be in my consideration set. Like I don't take much Ferguson. Could make sense here as my second tight end. A little bit of Doc with the running back. Brenton Strange, like Josh Palmer. Like I'm not really super into this range. It's kind of yucky. We'll just go between QJ and Ferguson. I'll go QJ. I love that the blurb is could lose role to Trey Harrison. I've just got them both on the same team. So we got a 1-4-7-1 here. We're gonna attack QB in volume. Almost definitely taking one of these two here as they make sense. I forget, did we get Ridley on this team? We did. So yeah, back to this point, I'm happy to share like my assumptions. If you guys, agree or disagree, like feel free to kind of override this like in your brain. But the way the Sims work, I kind of treat it binary where let's say I have Tootin as, a 25% chance of winning the role, and people I've talked to have it like 30, 40, 50%, right? So let's say I have it at 25%. In 25% of the Sims, he goes off, and 75% he doesn't. So I don't take that average. If you took the average, you're going to get the same kind of results time after time. But 25% of the time, he super spikes, and 75% he's just going to kind of middle out. So it just, if he's on near the top of the board for 1 or 2 rounds, chances are at some point you're going to run into a Sim where he wins the job, which is, super valuable. So that's kind of the logic of how that takes place. Curious where Waller ends up. I have him at 170, and that's honestly lower than I would probably organically have him if I didn't kind of adjust for ADP a bit there. So Stafford, Ward, definitely going to be Stafford, Ward, right? Ward spiking up a bit more here than Stafford. I respect that. I'll go with that. I think Cam Ward is criminally underpriced given we've seen this a couple of times over the past few years. CJ Stroud definitely the example of a team that people just don't have the imagination to see how a team could go from picking early to having a QB come in and change the franchise drastically. So what do I do when I'm on the cock tower? That's between you and whoever's cock that happens to be. Or, OnlyFans or whoever you decide to share that with. Well, range anywhere from around 16 to 20. I mean, like, if I'm being truthful, like, do I really want Zach Ertz over Darren Waller? Like, do I really want Hunter Henry, like a naked Hunter Henry over Darren Waller? It could end up looking really bad, but I think if Darren Waller makes the team, he's going to be there to catch passes. Famously quit because he was asked to play fullback on like 2 or 3 snaps. So we'll see how that goes. I think it's like a pretty good bet here. I'm kind of outspoken. I can talk about why I have those thoughts in a second. So we're going to be between Stafford, Ertz. I don't think I'm, super horny for Jalen Noel on this team. It's not begging me for Stafford because it doesn't see a huge difference in him and the rest of the quarterbacks available later. So let's see, Stafford, Ertz, and we'll just go Ertz because I'm going to time out and don't want to do that. So Ertz is my 10 and 2, even though I just made fun of him. Might be a little mini stack with someone, Jaden Blue or something. Yeah. I'm going to try and catch up with chat, try and continue to draft a banger team. Have you been taking Lockett at all? Not really. Like, he's one of those guys, like, I have ranked above ADP, and I'm not trying to counteract what I say, but it's like I'm often not needing a wide receiver in this range. So I'm often having more reason to take a quarterback, take a third tight end, take a 6th running back type of thing. Where's more upside with our mobility? I mean, yeah, it's like I think you can get 500-600 rushing yards out of Cam Ward. I think new O-line, Ward Chig. That's interesting. I'm not like Chig kind of scares me. I feel like Chig could definitely just like cease to exist at any moment, but I think cost adjusted super fine. The other thing, that reason why Cam Ward doesn't go, like obviously the Ridley draft are super incentivized to take him. However, people don't know who the wide receiver 2 is going to be. Is it going to be Lockett? Is it going to be A.O. Maynor? Is it going to be DK, who they drafted ahead of A.O. Maynor? I think there might be some special teams reasons for that, so I wouldn't like panic out on that completely. So let's take a look how we're doing on draft capital. Like a receiver, we caught up. Running back, we're like still kind of heavily allocated, right? Even though we only have 4, but we have a really good mix of early / full season production and contingent. Not even some contingent and some just like rookie back weighted production. So I think it's a good blended room here. Definitely setting up to be a 3 QB room. Rodgers stacked with Caleb Johnson is probably like one that people are not often thinking about, but I'm totally happy to go Shuck and figure it out, or obviously Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, super, super fine without any stack partners. So yeah, I'm not like too out of my skis in any position. Stafford finally goes. Like I would have had to take him here at 187. Shuck it. That's the other thing with Shuck is like similar to Ward. I mean, it's kind of sacrilege because I think Ward is much better. He's going to be the starter, and people don't really know who to stack him with except for the Olave drafter. So Waller going to be in my consideration set. Shuck, Jarquez Hunter. Let's see what the computer says. The computer says it doesn't give a fuck, which gives me the license to increase my Jarquez Hunter exposure. Juwan. Yeah, I mean, I think I've always liked Juwan in Lucas GM. I've always liked Juwan. Famously played receiver at Penn State before transferring to Oregon and kind of pivoting to tight end. Definitely one of those guys sneaky older than people remember. This is like pre-transfer era being mainstream. So like transferring might have cost him a year. So he's like 29, 30 years old. But yeah, I think like Foster Moreau kind of looms larger than people want him to. Biggest news out of New Orleans that the O-line seems to be taking form, looking better. I mean, the thing with New Orleans is like they've spent a bunch of draft capital on offensive line. It hasn't super worked out, but it's there, right? So, at some point that could make sense. Like, I think we're good at receiver here. Like, it's not going to be the heaviest receiver room of all time, but I don't think we're saving it here. Like, we can definitely add Aomena or something, but Waller definitely going to be interesting to me here, or Shuck or Dimes. I actually probably lean. I'm just going to go Dimes here. No help from the computer here, so we're just going to brain it and go with Dimes. I did see A.D. Mitchell fall off the board. Tyreek passed T. Higgins in Superflex ADP yesterday. Yeah, I wonder. Like, I'm trying to retrace my math and steps on, and as you see, Tyler Lockett adds 1 point to this team over the season, which is kind of hilarious. Mike Williams adding 0.8 points. I'm trying to retrace my steps on. So when Jonnu left, like I moved Tyreek from like 27 to 23. And then when Waller came back, I kind of moved him halfway back. And I did kind of the same for Waddle and same for Achane. I kind of moved everyone up like 2 to 4 spots and then kind of took half of that back. So, I mean, I think that the Tyreek nuke is still very in play. T. Higgins nuke is also in play. Like Ja'Marr Chase misses big time as he's done. Shifted pending inside, letting players go to their natural fit. Yeah, I mean, Kellen Moore obviously had a lot of respect his, first time through. So we'll see. Waller takes a bit off the top, but Reek seemingly better fit to take over. Yeah, I mean, I think if you go back, all right, let me just make sure, like, am I taking a tight end here? I'll either take Waller or, looks like someone took AO, so hopefully Waller is here for me, 3-5-7-3. That works. Happy with that. All right. So the Dolphins kind of like the past 3 years, right? So Waddle came in as a rookie. What was that, 4 years ago? Waddle was kind of like volume merchant rookie, right? Where he had a bunch of receptions, low ADOT. And that was before Tyreek came in. Then Tyreek comes in and Tyreek gets the underneath stuff and super nukes, and Waddle goes from, like, if I remember, like an 8 yards per to like 15 yards per. Yeah. Oh my God. He went from 10 yards per as a rookie, and my face is in the way. Yeah. Now my face is even worse. 10 yards per to 18 yards per his second year when Tyreek joined the team. Because Tyreek kind of took more of that, and Waddle was more of the field stretcher there. And they've sort of middled it since, a little more intermediate to long for both of them. And Jonnu kind of got the garbage stuff, and Achane got the garbage stuff last year. I think Waller's been used, like, Waller's obviously been a great receiver. We'll see if he makes the team, but I think if he does, I don't think he's taking the Jonnu role. I don't think they want the Jonnu role to exist. But, so I'm looking at, like, let's say 40, 50 catches for Waller in the 500-yard range. It doesn't take a ton from Reek and Waddle, essentially, is where I'm getting at. What projections are you using for your Sims, and how do they take into account range of outcomes? What a great question. So under the hood, and I'll give you a peek because, nice like that. Let's see. Master projections. Boom. So under the hood is Mike Clay's projections. I think he does somewhere between a good and great job of capturing likely, I wouldn't even call it median, but let's call it median projections. And then kind of using market dynamics, spike profiles, running profiles for quarterbacks. Like each position kind of has its own interdependency. So running backs, a big thing is projected market share versus ceiling market share. So like I'll use an example here. I'll filter out. So this is kind of like my full list of contingent running backs versus like the baseline projection. So Harvey's is like not huge because he's projected for a pretty big role. But like, let's find like, Jordan Mason, for example, is projected for 40% of the work. So this probability, this boosts both the base projection as well as the range of outcomes. So for Jordan Mason, 30% of the time, I have him winning, having a 20% bump to his role, right? And that's accounting for injuries and probability of winning the job. It's a little subjective. Looked at historical injuries, for running backs, like looking at like 2 to 3 games missed on average per season, 15%, something like 15% of running backs getting injured in any given year. Those are kind of like the overarching metrics here. So like someone like Jaden Blue, for example, and this is why, like, if you've been using the products in Tootin, if you look at these two, for example, like if they're projected baseline work of like 20% market share, and I have them about 25-30% of the time getting 40%, right? They're going to double their base projection. Like if Mike Clay has them for 6 points per game, I say 25 to 30% of the time that 6 becomes 12, right? And honestly, you could even argue it becomes more than that, right? If like Tootin wins a job, like he might be a projected 14, 15 a week. So that's kind of how the sims take into account a baseline projection, right? So baseline projection, yards, touchdowns, targets, receptions, all that. I'm gonna cough off mic for a sec. And then baking in like a carry ceiling market share projection, how often I believe they hit that. You notice a lot of these numbers are between 10 to 15%, and that's just sort of pure injury type of stuff. Like, for example, like Isaac Garendo is just like never winning the job over Christian McCaffrey. Tyler Algier is simply never winning the job over Bijan Robinson. However, 10-15% of the time, they will come into the job at a time that we want it because of injury, just based on historical rates like Will Shipley. Right. So a lot of these guys, you'll notice are in like that 10 to 15 range. Some of these guys like Jordan Mason, Harvey, Charbonnet, have higher likelihood of winning the job because they can actually win a job or win a meaning, like carve out more of a role, if not win the job outright. Miles Sanders as well. So that takes all that into account. Receiver, like contingent upside for receiver, like someone like T Higgins, for example. So it's base projections, but like there's a lot of overlays. Like I literally touched every single projection in here to try and account for market dynamics and ranges of outcomes. So yeah, ultimately, like, hey, at the end of the day, there's a lot of good products out there. And I think the number one most important thing in any of this, and why I'm not super worried about RTA taking over, the number one most important thing is projections / rankings input. If you have no matter how accurate, let's say you actually can perfectly sim however many seasons, and I think it's incredibly hard to do. If you don't properly identify which receivers in rounds 4, 5, 6 are good, right? You'll just have a blind spot for your entire market, right? Same for running backs, same for quarterbacks. If you have like a bad quarterback assumption, like it impacts like 5 or 6 players, and it kind of might even disqualify you. So like I think having really good inputs, really thoughtful inputs is definitely the most important thing, and why I think there's some subjectivity. A lot of work goes into it. I trust everyone does a lot of good work on their rankings, but keep drafting. I think you can fight back against the machines. We're not dead yet. We're not dead yet. Let's see. That was my 60th team. 60th team. I'll do a quick exposure check. I'm gonna see where my wife is. She's a half hour away. Does that mean I have time for one more team? Do the people want another team? You want to do exposure checks, or we'll do another? We'll draft another. Let's see if we can do one more 20-second. It's a pretty low. We'll do one more 20-second. 8 to fill if you guys want to jump in. Six to fill, Jalen Waddle, Fangraphs. 4 to fill. All right, let me just refresh my exposures here for myself. Change the layout again. I was gonna say, like, I usually have a pretty clean lobby here, but I did a MLB head-to-head so that I could get a screenshot for my thumbnail. What did you guys think of the thumbnail? Spent a lot of time on that. I did not spend a lot of time on that. 60 teams. We got Jarquez Hunter on 20 of them. 20 Pollard. A lot of Mark Andrews. Cam Ward. Take Bigsby. Not really like a super target of mine. It's just, I guess he's, been available in that range for me. So this extract exposures button. Refresh here. It's a pretty balanced in the first round. Not much Gibbs. If you have him 7th, right? I'm not going to get him that often. So 2 more to fill. 22nd best ball mania. Or full. 101. Oh man, that makes thing streaming a 20-second 101 while typing stuff in. Got some friends and family in here too, so that makes things fun. If I can, so look, let me put it this way. And I don't know if I'm, winning customers or anything. I'm just more than anything, just kind of showing off for anyone that's around how I kind of do things. But if I can manage to pull off drafting at the turn while streaming for the first time this year, then you can too. Don't let Buck see that Bigsby exposure. I mean, I've got a lot of Tootin too. Like I'm just kind of like I'm like varying my bets on the Jags offense. I would take more BTJ if I could, but yeah, I've got 13% Tootin. I would be happy for that to be closer to 20. So yeah, I'm not even gonna consult the thing. We'll take Chase at 1, figure it out later. And yeah, and he did win this year, this iteration. So then we'll be faced with do you take Burrow at the 4-5 turn or push him? I've found, and I'm curious, and I don't pay that much attention to some of the other tools out there, but what I found is like initially my instinct was push Burrow to 72, like that's kind of where he belongs. But depending on who's on the board at the 4-5 turn, like I don't think the 4-5 turn is super strong, right? If Kittle's there, I think he's obviously great. If like Omarion Hampton falls, Travis Hunter now, but it's like I really like the guys at 72, 73. So I don't mind taking Burrow here and then having 2 picks here from like the Matt Golden, Jaden Reed range. So I don't know, it would be better if it was insane value. I mean, I don't play the big board. I don't have those screenshots. KK10, going to try and make something for the 4 and 12 men's and underdog this year. What do you think the big takeaways could be from the BR data, if any, since they don't give out data? I think I think the double stacking stuff is super interesting. It's not something that I do a ton. I think double stacking, I think how often players with like 30 plus ADP, 35 plus ADP, getting ownership percentages on those is super valuable. Like I have estimates, but I think ownership there, QB tight end stacks, I think are definitely super interesting to look at frequency. And then like for any teams that have continuity, understanding like how often, you know, certain quarterbacks are stacked with specific players. So like Justin Jefferson, for example, like how often are people doing non Justin Jefferson Viking stacks, things like that. Over 8.3 on all three Jags and Cowboys. I mean, I think that's a good way to do it. Like I'm not into Javante, 3%, but 15% Blue, only 7% Sanders. His ADP is kind of come up faster than I've been able to keep up with, but I'm muted. That's great. All right, let's see these five, whatever the computer tells me I'm going to do, and it is Devonte Adams, just barely. I think I'm unmuted now. So back to back Devonte Adams teams. Definitely would have been open to Marv, like the Cardinals. The Cardinals double there allows you to push Burrow and kind of corner the market on Kyler, but I'm more than happy. I think I have a bunch of Devonte Adams all over the board. Like somewhere people were doing this with Rashi. Obviously, if you were drafting early and getting Rashi Rice at like 36, then you have a lot different of teams now that Rashi's moved to the other side of the board. I don't know if Devonte is going to move across the board as much, but I have Devonte kind of all over round 3. So I think like if you want to be betting against Kyron, I think Devontae's a really like Kyron's kind of gotten there, and I don't think Kyron is going away. But being kind of trusted at the goal line and for multiple, Puka I think is a great profile. I'd take Puka 6. He's had some injuries in his past. I think just the way that he's been used, like in short areas, is there's maybe questions about how he holds up. Like I think there's outs and very, very live outs that Devonte is like goal line Devonte for the Rams this year. Mike Evans at 41 is pretty sick. And Xavier Worthy at 40 is sick. What's going on in this draft? Jalen Hurts went early. That's an interesting way to do it, though, because they're not getting that at 59.62. I think that's interesting for sure. Jaden Daniels at 43. More than fine with that. It's a good team from the 6. Is someone being dumb, or is everyone just like kind of silently building good teams? So like this likes Burrow. Like we'll see. I mean, obviously, like Kittle is not gonna really be flashing for us. I mean, 40 points at it. Oh, I'm in the master sheet instead of my copy. Let's do this. Oh, we're gonna have to be quick, aren't we? Chase, McBride, and Adams. So let's see. Travis Hunter, Sutton, Flowers, Hampton, Hunter. And then I'm open to just taking, yeah. So this has me taking Travis Hunter, which I'm more than happy to do. More than happy to do. And I wonder, like, I think it's probably just going to have me take Burrow. And I don't hate that because I think that this is kind of like a tier where it's flattish here. And I don't think the points added and the sim kind of does this. Not kind of, it does do it. It's not, it's pushing Burrow up because, well, A, it's scared and you're not going to get him. And B, the points added from Cortland Sutton to Matthew Golden, for example, or if you say I'm biased for Golden, great. Like Jaden Reed, maybe bad examples because Sutton is boosted a little bit, but Pickens or like, yeah, I mean, I'll throw Sutton in this range too. It's like it's flat-ish, right? The 4-5 turn versus the 6-7 turn. I'll try and not be biased here. Like I'll throw in Zay Flowers. Like who are the other receivers at, at 72? Let me put Burrow on this team. You know what I mean? Like, does it make sense? Like, yeah, the 4-5 turn is definitely better here, like 20 points better, 30 points better, but some percent of the time these guys bubble up and I don't think the drop off is that huge. I think you could argue it's one big tier starting from 50 all the way to like 70. It was Addison. At some point today, I'm gonna do a Matthew Golden bull post tweet. I think it's just one of those Packers separated. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's. I think you have a couple outs. I think they could both get there for sure. Even Packers aside, dude, like, well, Judy doesn't fall a whole lot. Like Jacoby Myers, I think is a really good pick there. Debo falls to the turn a lot. Ricky Pearsall falls to the turn a lot. And then if you're doing like the 1v1 of like Hampton versus Judkins versus Caleb Johnson versus Montgomery, it's not huge. It's not huge. Seeing Jacoby fall. Yeah, I think it's just like market complacency. It's just like the type of person drafting now is like not super interest into the like projectable volume receiver types. Yeah, if Caleb, Debo eats a couple shots. I'm fine with Debo being Debo. This could be real good. This could be so good. Oh my goodness. Oh baby. Godwin. I mean, this is just like this is a masterclass. I'm gonna put Godwin in. I'm sure I will take Golden as well. I'll cue him so I don't get on like auto draft by mistake. I do want to just decide between Golden and Judkins here. It is giving me Judkins. I just like Golden so much. Let's see how many. All right, best 2 out of 3. You guys cool with that? 1. All right, it's Judkins. It's Judkins. It's Judkins. Did it get there? Nah, I didn't click it. Didn't click it. What a shame. What a shame. Going true 0 RB. People forget the thesis of 0 RB is not to take 7 receivers in a row. It's allowing you to take a guy that can win the position by 10 points in a week, taking Detour quarterback as well. All right, the Bears are the most mispriced team, and I have no idea which way. Yeah, I mean, let's take a look at my Bears exposures and rankings. So, I mean, I'm kind of at market, a little slightly ahead of market. I'm more in Rome, taking them a bit. DeAndre Swift is a pretty strong fade. Take Hill, like, yeah, this is. I think the Bears are kind of priced appropriately. It might be one of those, it just looks really. It'll end up looking really good or really bad, and we won't know until we know. Um, so. So yeah, zero RB, like so now like running backs will it's not gonna panic, right? And say like, oh, you gotta take, Jordan Mason no matter what type thing. Um, but it knows that you're behind a running back, but sometimes like you're just not gonna win at all four positions, and that's okay. Do people like listening to like the this like lo-fi music? Stuff I don't have any going, but so out of practice. Got the old 1051 going, folks. From the one hole. It's so funny. I had the conditional formatting go where bucket 5 draft capital for running back. So if you have 0 draft capital, it's like, wow, you're doing such a good job. Five picks away. Read something about Swift's stats before his injury last year. But like, what about after? Like what if he didn't recover? Yeah, there's I think the fact that like people say Ben Johnson hates Swift. I will counter that. Ben Johnson hates Swift, but he also knows that Swift is on the team when he took the job, and then he didn't do anything about it. So I think he's like okay with it, right? Like he kind of has to be. Kind of has to be here. Like I'm not super thrilled with B-Rob. If you guys let me get B-Rob, like I'll probably take it 2%. Otherwise, I'll be tempted with some of these receivers. Justin Fields, I'm not really doing it for me. I mean, Kyler, not adding a bunch for me here already. Like invested pretty heavily at quarterback. So I think Kelsey makes some sense here. Oh, I already have the tight end. All right, so we're now panicking. Jalen Warren probably is the RB1. That's hilarious. All right, so we'll do Jalen Warren. Everything was going a little too well. And now it's actually saying like screw running back, just like take another receiver like Cooper Kupp. I don't even like Cooper Kupp. But then we could just kind of shut it down here. I'll listen. Let me listen. Let me listen. We're gonna dig out in volume at running back. We're not gonna force the issue. Not gonna force the issue here. We got some quarterbacks on the way back. We have tight ends. We start to fill out running back. So they're telling me to take B-Rob, but I disobeyed. I mean, this is kind of how I like to build teams. Anchor, RB, good skew young receivers. Tony Pollard is a cult classic. Darnell Mooney at 90, I think, is quite fine. Kyler, I think naked Kyler for sure fine. Past ADP, even a little mini with James Conner. What do people think of Michael Wilson? I think Michael Wilson is just like a blind spot for me. I think if Johnson truly hated Swift, he would have taken one. Yes, 100%. 100%. That's where I'm at. Like, they didn't sign Chubb. They didn't sign anyone. It took Monongai in round 7. So I don't think he's super panicked about Swift. Now, does that mean that Swift is going to keep the job all year? No, it doesn't. But I think he's just like kind of fine. It's not great. PFF love Michael Wilson as a prospect, theoretically, as a good role. Yeah. I mean, Michael Wilson has kind of had that same role for ever since he came out. Like kind of like the de facto wide receiver 2 on a team with like a good tight end and a quarterback that often is not passing for a ton of yards or touchdowns. Yeah, red zone. Yeah, I think Michael Wilson's kind of binary. Like if I'm doing the Kyler thing, otherwise he's not really on my board. But I think he's cheap. I think he's a good value. Tyron Tracy goes. Would have been cool if he slid all the way back. 1161 here. Definitely some targets that I expect to see fall off the board, and they already did. Charbonnet. He's mad, but fine as far as man posts a touchdown or man posts 2 touchdowns. It goes to him. Yeah, the added points is very low, but like, yes, Michael Wilson, if he scores 2 touchdowns in week 16, that's going to be huge, right? Or 1 point. Yeah, there are, like, he's not a zero. Like, I think Michael Wilson is going to be 4,504, right? It's like Darius Slayton, but on a different team. And that has a time and place. Dear Lord, you guys cleaned out running backs. I'm not taking Javonte, dude. Javonte, Tootin, Spears, kind of the consideration there. Mark Andrews falls a whole bunch here. This has me taking Tootin, so let me make sure I do that. RB2, I mean, the Warren Tootin is just like so freaking funny. Warren Tootin. Good sim there for Toots. Yeah, it doesn't want Mark Andrews. So Javonte or Spears, I think. I mean, do you do it? Let's listen to the computer. Only have like 2-3% Javonte. Not my favorite team so far, honestly. I don't love building out of the one hole. I think I reached in the cookie jar a few too many times there. Took the receivers, and the room made me pay. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. That's okay. But I think time and place, you got to be humble. Javonte structurally makes sense. I know some of the sims kind of take the profile into account. I know like there's been tweets going around for like comparing, the Ramondre and Travion Henderson, for example, underdog prop line, season long projections, whatever you call it. And like, their equivalent or even leaning toward Ramondre, but then someone kind of posted like the chart and it's just like a little X meme. So like if you're, let's say, round numbers, let's say it's 10 weeks and they're both projected for 100 points. So 10 points per game. Ramondre's might start at 14 and go down to 6, whereas Henderson starts at 6 and goes up to 14. So like, there's a time and place, I think, for taking the older reliable back, but there's also a reason why they go later, and that's because the back-weighted production is so much more valuable. It's harder to get, A, and B, it makes you more money. So there's a reason. Cedric Tillman at 135. JGFC with the Drake May at 129. That's how you know that the stream gods don't respect me yet. Haven't put in my time. When you get Drake May after ADP on one of my streams. Javonte's young has always been banged up. Yeah, I mean, it is funny. I'm calling Javonte old. He's probably only like 26, if that. He was a young prospect. Granted, that was 4 years ago, but Rachaad White would have been really nice on this team. So we still have one quarterback, one tight end. We're not we're pretty position flexible here. The tight ends is not really a need for us for a while. We feel good with McBride. Jaden Blue is interesting here with Javonte, and you just try and bink any running back that you can there. I actually might do that, and I might even do that with Bigsby too. All right, so Goddard, Blue, Eckler, Algier even. Oh, all right, it likes Algier. I mean, this is pretty early. 144, that's okay. I think Algier makes some sense here, obviously, with as the Devontae Adams bring back, and it likes Jaden Blue, and honestly, at these costs, I don't hate that. Let me get rid of Goddard and Algier and just choose between Blue and Eckler. Yeah, Blue smashes it. So that's interesting, man. All right, let's do Algier, Jaden Blue with Javonte. There's like some historical like same team running back stuff, which like depending on your scope, like for a single week is not the best, but it's actually slightly less bad than you would think, just from like outlier game script touchdown type stuff. Yeah, so Burrow, so like I've gone through an evolution of Burrow, like in May and even early June, I was like, why take him early? But I think, I mean, to get Godwin and Golden here is kind of sick. And even if I didn't get those guys, Jaden Reed, definitely interesting. Tony Pollard at that range, Judkins, so Caleb Johnson. Jaden Blue, Romeo Dobbs, Goddard, Pat Bryant. Oh, I think Eckler, I think Brian Robinson is one of the worst starting running backs in the NFL. So like, I think Eckler is live to win that job. Didn't mean to type that. I'm just glad you're typing anything. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. I appreciate that. Shout out to anyone who knows that reference. Any Collision Course fans? Any Collision Course fans in the chat? All right, our next pick is 168, Gesicki. Oh, with the Burrow, obviously that makes sense to get our second tight end, kind of shut it down. Rico Dowdle bubbling up. This is going to be a fun structure team because we're with an early quarterback, early tight end, gives us more. We don't have to go with 3 at either. We could do 5 total onesies. We could do 4 total onesies. So a lot of flexibility to stockpile running back. Jalen Wright is definitely someone I'm targeting. I don't know that he belongs like totally at the top of this this range, but someone to take a lot. I think I like both Eckler and B-Rob. I think I'm realizing I just have no option to hold, so we press the right buttons. Yeah. Ideal lake bevy. So I'm like in the New York City area, so no real lakes here. But the reason I actually say that not about the lake is apparently like Bush Apple hasn't made its way up north yet. Like it just gets stuck down south and gets bought out. I had my first Bush Apple 1 or 2 weeks ago, and I don't think it's crazy to say that's like the best beer ever made. All right, I think I'm just gonna go tank Bigsby and Gesicki here, which is kind of nasty. So I'll definitely go Gesicki. I just want to see like yeah, tank is a huge value here. So I'm going double Jags. We just talked about, it's so funny how we just talked about, where was the comment? Where was it? What's up, Brad? Long time. Long time no see. Thanks for coming by. All right, where over 8.3%, all three Jags and Cowboys. Someone has to run the ball. Well, what if I told you you can have the Jaguars RB2 and RB3 and the Cowboys RB2 and RB3 all on the same team? Would that be something you're interested in? Would that be something you're interested in? It's probably hard to envision, right? Like the Cowboys or even the Jaguars being like the 2023 Miami Dolphins or the 2024 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Granted, probably easier to envision the Jaguars being that given, Liam Cohen, but that's kind of like the outlier that you're looking for, like teams that had good red zone, like touchdown monsters at running back, two-headed backfields, offenses that way overperform. Michael Wilson prophecies. Was that the so he's got the James Conner, Kyler, Michael Wilson. Yeah, I mean, I think like Michael Wilson makes a ton of sense there. It's kind of binary, right? I could probably have him like right at ADP, but when you have him stacked, he goes way up. So yep. So yeah, favorite ideal lake bevy for beer right now, for the moment, I would say a Busch Apple. I think Busch Light's any kind of Busch Light plays outdoors. I will not say Miller Lite because I'm actually pretty partial to a Miller Lite bottle, and obviously the bottles do not play on the lake, so you got to go can. In the Northeast, Surfsides are huge. I don't know if you've ever heard of Surfside iced tea, lemonade type. No bubbles, 100 calories, super tasty. The trick there, they allegedly have like 30 grams of, or maybe it's milligrams, I don't know, not a doctor, of caffeine. So maybe that's why people love them so much. Like, makes them feel good, and they don't really know why. They're just like, having espresso martini over the course of a day. Darren Waller bubbling up, DJ Giddens. I will take DJ Giddens here, and I'll consider Rico Dowdle. Oh, Giddens, boom. Giddens with a huge smash. And I will go with one Sir Daniel Jones here. A little bring back for my Jags bet before. If AD Mitchell falls, it's great. I'm Wah for the fourth. Oh, is that Washington? Not sure I've seen that in Texas. Surfside is all I drink, so good. Yeah. I think it's Northeast thing. I think they're like outside of Philly, and they're trying to get more distribution. Also don't think seen them online. Yeah, like they're in like stadiums, like ballparks now, so definitely expanding distribution there. Oh, the Busch flavors. Yeah. I think it's hard. They're hard to get at. Like my buddy, one of my best friends, got married a couple weeks ago. So last week or 2 weeks ago. And his cousin, total meathead, came up with like cases of Busch Apple from North Carolina to share with the boys. That was a good time. Good times were had. Good times were had. All right, so let's see. We've got like a 2-7-6-2 here. Like we're strong at tight end, right? Like we're done there with McBride, Gesicki. We can be done at quarterback for sure. Shuck doesn't do anything for us. Dart doesn't do anything for us. Like I'm not going to force a third quarterback. It's probably not going to recommend me one. Taj Brooks makes a lot of sense. Manon guy, Jordan James popping up here. This is one of those teams where like we invested early at receiver, and actually like this Cooper Kupp pick kind of threw things in a way that I don't know if you'd call it front-loaded production or certain production or what have you, but yeah, it's not like we're screaming for late receivers on this team. Like we have we have a good balance of like Travis Hunter and Golden late production, Godwin, Cup early, and then Chase and Adams kind of throughout. So I'll probably do something like this. I doubt that they both go. Billy's the whole place. Was drinking half. Yeah. Oh, Chicago? You're Chicago? Oh, Billy's. Yeah. No, Billy's in outside Yankee Stadium, obviously. Surfside's now at Yankee Stadium. I know they're at PNC. They took down the Roberto Clemente banner for Surfside one, and then that only lasted like a day or two. Moved Distillery to Northeast Philly. Yeah, super good. No free ads, but damn. Like they also had like stateside, like it's like stateside vodka or whatever. All right, so let's see Taj Brooks or Jordan James as my 8th running back. Yep. See, that's kind of how I do things. I mean, the rankings obviously drive a lot of it, but you know, I type in my 2 or 3 names that I'm considering, kind of let the Sims run it and have them dig me out of the hole here, which I think I did. I think it's it's like at least interesting. It might not be the best team I've ever drafted. I don't think it's easy drafting from the one hole, but yeah, we did a classic 2-8-6-2. Little reachy in spots, right? Obviously, like the Joe Burrow reach, so to speak, isn't gonna grade well. We decided to, I suppose, reach at running back. We did the double Dallas, double Jaguars. Yeah, we got some, you know, a lot of week 17 stuff here. Colts, Jags, big one for us. Bengals and Cardinals. So that's the team. Hopefully, I think I'm gonna call it there. Have a happy, fun, safe 4th. Enjoy drafting the rest of your teams. I don't know when I'll ever be back, but I might post this up on the site if you guys want to reference as like a, you know, best practice how to. So yeah, you know where to find me. Hit the like on your way out. Thank you for coming by, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.